All right, so here's the motion on it. Comes all the way out. Let's come back in. And then I can collapse it all the way in. Just like this. I'll go all the way back in here like that. Yeah. We're going to open up the Pearlsmith large full motion TV wall mount. All right, let's check it out. All right, on top, we've got these things here that you wrap around your cords. We're going to put that over there. You got some instructions. You're going to need that. It comes with an array of different anchors, screws that you can use with various types of TVs. You don't need all that stuff. Don't get freaked out. This is half of what the TV is going to lay on. You get a little tool with it that you can work with. I didn't use that. And these go on the end of that other piece that I just pulled out. And there's also a couple of more extensions. This right here goes on the back of the TV, but you also get, check this out, you get a level with it. How do you like that? These you screw on the back of the TV. You see those hooks? That goes in that other part. Yep, there's the other one. So there's two of them that you put on your TV. And then you've got these two extensions that go onto the rack that the TV hooks are going to attach to. And there's two of those. And then this is the unit itself. And let me tell you, it's heavy. I mean, it's not light. So you're going to need some really good anchors to put it in the wall. Make sure you get it in 2x4s. I'm gonna stretch it out here so you guys can see what it looks like. And it's big. Underneath that is a template that you put on the wall to mark where you're going to put your screws. And that's basically what's in the box. This is the main unit that you have to screw onto the wall. And you can see it folds out so that you can turn it in a 90-degree angle. You can also tilt it. So it's very flexible. And it works with TVs as small as 40 inches up to 70 inches. Right now all we got to do is put it together. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put the two hooks or brackets on the back of the TV. You get an array of different screws that you can use, so you've got to look at the back of your TV, figure out what the female size is, and then pick out the screw that fits. And then once you've determined what type of screws you have to put in there, you line up your bracket hooks on the back to those screw holes, and depending on the size of your TV is going to dictate where you're going to have to align these brackets. You got to make sure that your racks don't go past the bottom of the TV. And those are the 4 screws that I'm going to use. So we're going to go ahead and screw them in. Here you're going to notice I'm putting the 2 screws on the bottom, but I'm not tightening them down. I'm going to leave them loose in there because I've got to set my height with the top of these racks. I don't want the racks to stick out from the bottom of the TV where people can see them, so I've got them right at the edge there, as you can see. And I'm not tightening these down, I'm just getting them in there. Once I've got the bottom screws in there, but loose, I'm going to go to the top and I'm going to pick out one of those screw holes based on the size of my TV. And I'm going to put it in that one right there. But these don't have any play in them. They're just a round hole, and you just got to lock those down. Once those are locked down on the top, then you can come to the bottom and you can tighten your bottom down. And these screws are pretty good size, and they will definitely hold these racks on there. And you just want to make sure you get them in there nice and tight. Once I've got the right side done, then I'm going to go ahead and do the left side. I'm putting that screw on the top, and then I'm going to go to each and every single one of the screws and make sure that they're in there nice and tight. And you can see I'm just going from one to another, just making sure I've got it nice and tight, locked in, because this is what the TV is going to hang on. If you notice on the very bottom, brackets can slide. You see how it's like an open area? That way you can pick which one of the screw holes on the top you need to put your top screws in so that your brackets are on there correctly and they're aligned with the size of the TV and they don't stick out of the bottom. And bam, step 1 is complete. We've got our brackets on the back of the TV. Our next step is to assemble the front support. This is the main piece here. And then there's 2 end caps that we have to attach. And then there is also 2 more arms that have to be slid in and then screwed in with 2 screws each. Those are the 2 arms there. So if you look at it, you've got these 2 arms on there. They're already screwed in there. But the other 2 arms we have to put here. So we have to take those screws out, slide it in, and then tighten those screws down. So that's what we're going to do next. Then once that's done, we're going to take the end caps and slide them right on the end of those arms and lock them down too. All right, so the first thing we want to do is loosen the screws for the two arms that we have to insert. So I'm going to start with the top ones. I'm just going to take those screws out of there using a Phillips head screwdriver. Once they're removed, we can go ahead and slide our bar in. Make sure that the end cap screw is facing down when you slide it in. We're just going to put it in there, and then we've got to match up the screw holes, and then we're going to put the screws back in there and then tighten them down. All right, so let's unloosen these two here. I'm just going to loosen them up, get them out of there, and then we're going to go ahead and slide that bottom arm in there. Once we've got the screws out of there, we can go ahead and slide that arm in. I'm going to give you a little bit closer shot so you can see what's going on. So I'm sliding the arm in, I'm matching up the holes, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the screws back in and lock them down. And so you want to check all 8 of these screws too, by the way. So you want don't just tighten the 4 that you removed and then replaced. Once you've locked down the 2 arms and you've tightened those 4 screws on the top and the bottom, you want to go all the way around and tighten all of the screws, all 8 of them. Because if you noticed, it was a little loose when you took it out of the package. So I'm going around and I'm hitting every single one of these screws and locking them down super tight and making sure they're in there. All right, so now we've got those bars on there, or those arms. I'm going to flip it over, and notice there's 4 screws on the back of this. This is the back. So we have to take those screws out of there. We've got to loosen them, all right? So you can see there's the 4 screws. We've got to take them out if we want to put our caps on. All right, before we attach our 2 end pieces, I'm going to take these 2 screws out of that center piece because we're going to need those later to connect and attach this assembly to the TV wall mount. All right, so once you have backed these screws out with their washers, you want to make sure that you put it somewhere safe and you don't lose them, because you definitely need them to lock this thing down at the very end of this project. So put them somewhere safe. I'm going to set them right on my instruction manual so I do not lose them. And there's 2 washers and 2 screws. Put them right there and you'll have them when you're ready to connect everything together. Next, we've got to put our end caps on, but before we can do that, we've got to back these screws out. There's 4 of them, 1 on each one of the arms on each side, and you'll notice there's a little hole to slide it through, so you got to kind of like line it up. It's not easy. There we go. I got that one on, but you got to kind of put both of them on at the same time, otherwise you can't get the other end in. But there we go, we got it in. Once we got it in, we can go ahead and screw it down. We just got to take those 2 screws and screw them back in there. So what I'm doing is I'm hand tightening them first, and I've got this really small Phillips head screwdriver. I should have brought a battery powered driver, but I don't have it, so I've got to use this. And what we want to do is tighten it down. Notice the attitude of this end cap, the way I put it in there. It's got the open part to the back, and it's got the smoother front surface facing forward. That's the way you're going to put these on, because that side is going to be touching the TV. All right? All right, so here's a bird's eye view of what this looks like. That's where that arm's going to go in, and that's where you're going to screw it to right there. So now we got to put this one on the other side. So we've got to go ahead and get those screws off of there first. And we're going to do the exact same thing that we did on the right side with the left side. We're going to take the screws out first, then we're going to slide that end cap on there, and then we're going to go ahead and tighten down those screws. And here's a closer view of exactly how it's going to slide on there. You just kind of push her down on there. You want to get both sides down at the same time. And bam, you're ready to go. And now you can go ahead and put your screws in and lock it down. All right, so here I'm speeding it up because I don't want to make you guys suffer through the video of me screwing these screws in. But you might want to make sure you get them tight. All right, so now we've got the front support completely assembled. We got the end caps on, we got the arms on, all the screws are locked down nice and tight, and this baby is ready for the attachment to the wall mount once we've connected that wall mount to the wall, of course. So there's what it looks like, and bam, Bob's your uncle. All right, so anyway, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these two screws that lock the front assembly to the brackets on the back of the TV. So we're going to just go pull those, and then this kind of slides up. I just kind of push it up, pull the screw out, of course. And I want to save those screws. I don't want to lose them. So we've got two of them. I've got one there, and I got to get the other one out. And so we're just going to go lefty-loosey and get that bad boy out of there. And we're going to save both of those screws. This is where we slide the bracket into that hook, and then we pull it down and we lock it down. That's what keeps it on the TV. So this connects to the wall mount. That slides in there. Those two screws that are up here are going to go through there and lock into that area there. That's how it works. So the head of the wall mount slides in there on that bracket, and then if I just lift it up, I can slide it right into the hooks on the brackets on the back of the TV. And that's basically how it works. And then up top there's two locks that you can pull down, and you can put those little screws in there and lock it down. All right, so our next step is actually getting this wall mount screwed to a concrete wall. All right, let's mount this thing on that wall. First thing we got to do is we got to do some measuring and figure out exactly where we're going to put this TV. This is a 50-inch smart TV, and we have to look and see how wide it is and how high it is. And this one here, I believe, is about, let's see, 43 inches. So we got to divide that by 2, and that's going to give us an idea of exactly where the middle is and where we need to have the middle of that wall mount when it's compressed and compact inside of itself. So let's double check and make sure we're about 21 and 22 inches, right around there. We got maybe 21 and a half. So now we've got to come up to the wall and figure out where exactly we're going to put it on that wall. Now we get a schematic that we can use so we can get an idea of where we're going to have the end of the TV sticking out. So yeah, so I'm kind of measuring off of that. And then we got to take that, put it on the wall, and figure out where we're going to drill our holes. To get an idea, I want to come about 23 inches because it's about 21 and a half, but I don't want the TV hanging over the edge. So I want to get it somewhere right around 23, 24 inches away from the edge of that window, like right about there. And then I got to check the other side because we want to try to balance it. You know what I mean? We want to try to get it balanced in the middle of the wall. We don't want it looking too far to the back or too far to the front. So we got to kind of measure that out and get an idea where we want to have it. Now you also have to decide how high you want your TV. So that's another problem too. All right, so to get an idea of where we're going to put this, I got the TV. I'm going to bring it over, and then I've got my trusty assistant letting me know exactly how high we want to put it. She's going to mark that with a pencil. And then I've got to come down about 12 inches from that mark to center that schematic. All right, so here what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down about 12 inches. I'm going to make a mark, and then I'm going to find the exact center of the wall where we're going to put the very center of our schematic so that we can make sure that we have it at the exact right height. The kit does come with a level, but I've got a better one. So I'm going to use this very large level to make sure that I've got the schematic level and that I've got it on the right pitch. So I'm going to need a little help from my assistant. So once we got it level, then we took our pencil and we drew in all of where we're going to put our anchors. There's little holes all the way around on the schematic, and all we have to do is just go ahead and circle our pencil in there and draw them on the wall, and then we'll know exactly where we want to drill our holes. Next, we're going to double check our schematic drawing on the wall. We're going to go ahead and put the wall mount up on there, match it up to our drill holes that we drew, and then put the level on it and make sure that it's level. All right, so it looks pretty good. Now all we've got to do is drill our holes, and we're going to need a corded drill that's got a lot of power. So that's our next step. All right, you're going to notice I got a vacuum cleaner so that we can clean the mess up as we're drilling. We're going to put 4 holes on the top, and I think 2 or 3 on the bottom. Most of the weight and the support comes from the top, so we're putting 4 up there. and we're going to put tap cons in all of these drilled holes. All right, so now all we've got to do is get our tap cons up there. We're putting a washer on them too. So we're going to go ahead and slide them in to the holes just to get it to support the frame. And we're going to do all 4 on top first. You can see the washer and the tap con through it. And so we're putting 2 on the end, 2 in the middle. It's a little tight on the one side to get it in, as you can see. But we're just going to like hand tighten it, and then we're going to get the driver on it. So we're just going to go ahead and screw them in with this Bosch driver. So these tap cons are being drilled into concrete. So they're going to be in there super tight. And they should hold this thing up there with no problem. You can see how hard it's even to get them in, even though we did drill these holes. And just to make sure, we're going to grab the level and we're going to set it up there and make sure that we've got these things in properly and that we've got a good level on it. And it looks good. Looks like we're good. Let's go ahead and put this one in, crank her right down. We're going to put one more up there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and crank this bad boy in there. Now we've got 4 tap cons on the top, and that should hold it really well. And now all we got to do is put a couple on the bottom. And now we're ready to go ahead and put our front support onto the wall mount head. All right, so anyway, the head of the wall mount slides just under that. And then there's 2 screws. These 2 big screws with the washers are going to go on there, and they're going to lock into that. All right, this will give you an idea how it all connects together. The head of the wall mount slides onto the front support centerpiece, and then we just lock it onto the brackets on the TV. Of course, after you've got the wall mount on the wall. All right, so I slide it on just like that. Now it's on there. And now I've got to screw those 2 screws with the washers in right there. So I'm going to go ahead and insert the screws with the washers and hand tighten them first. Then I'm going to go ahead and grab my Phillips head screwdriver and lock them down. We want to make sure that they're nice and tight and that the front support is firmly locked to the head of the wall mount. So I sped this up so you wouldn't have to watch me doing it. But I got them locked down tight, and there it is. Now it's on there. Now all we got to do is put the TV on. There it is right there. We just got to pick it up and slide it on to that support system. So you just pick the TV up, you slide it onto those bars, you make sure that it slides in to those 2 little hooks. On the top, I'm going to pull down my 2 locks, and then I'm going to go ahead and screw those in. I've got 2 little screws that I'm going to put on there and lock them in, but we want to center it in the middle. See there, I got to push it over a little bit, try to get that perfectly in the middle, and then I can go ahead and screw those 2 down. All right, all I've got to do is get my screws in there and grab my Phillips head, and we're just going to go ahead and tighten those down. We made sure that the TV was centered, and the way you do that is you just double check each side from that middle piece right there. See, I'm kind of moving it over just to make sure it's straight. And now I've got it right in the middle, and I can go ahead and lock those babies down, and the TV will stay there. It won't slide. See how I'm checking it with my fingers? And bam, we're done. All right, we got her up there, and you can see, look, it comes all the way out, 90-degree angle. I can smush it all the way back, and it collapses right up against the wall. Bam, Bob's your uncle. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel. Check out my other awesome videos. Peace out.